guys doing? Great. Hey, my voice sounds bad. I know that, but I feel good, and I look good, right? No. But I'm so glad you guys came out tonight. It really means a lot to me and to Carrie for all of you to be here, and I'm excited. Sounds like the wrong word, but I am looking forward to the future that God has for us, and I believe this is kind of the beginning. And it's the beginning of a really good future for us. But I'm going to start just opening us up in some prayer, because I believe God's in this, and I think it's so good to just welcome Him into this meeting. So let's pray. Father God, we thank you so much. Thank you so much for who you are, Lord. You're so good and so awesome. And Lord, we know the Word says that you are the author and the perfecter of our faith. That you are the one writing the story of our lives, God. You are the one who's in control. So God, I pray that that's how we would view you in this process, Lord, in our church, in our lives, in our marriages, Lord. We would view you as the author. We would give you the pen to write the book, the story of our lives, Lord. And I just pray that you would be in every moment of this meeting tonight, God, that we would leave tonight encouraged, that our faith would be strengthened, and we would leave excited for the future that you have for us. Lord, I pray that you would direct everything we do tonight. We pray this in your awesome name. In the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Pastor Stan's going to come now. He's going to kind of open up our meeting, and then we'll walk through the rest of the meeting.
Thank you, John. We'll grab a music stand here real quick. Get my watch off. I can tell you when the pastor does that, it doesn't mean anything. We will be here as long as we need to, but thank you for being here. This is the third meeting in a row that I've had along this subject this week. And I have to tell you that this is the most bittersweet experience of my 28 years as lead pastor. I've had a lot of bitter experiences, not a preponderance, but enough bitter ones, and a lot of sweet ones. But none as mixed as this. In part because I never expected to have this meeting, much less three of them. Didn't expect to launch campuses as independent congregations, or at least have that initiative. And so being here tonight is like, whew. And so, and as a pastor, even though CLC is a large church, I think if you have a pastor's heart, you are somewhat protective and possessive of people. And so I know what you mean, Pastor John, as far as it's exciting and it's different. And as a leader, how many of you went with the launch, when we launched South way back when? Anybody here from that, right? That was when we went way back at the school, okay? I am especially indebted to and grateful to you, because if you've ever had to lead anything, the scary part about leading is when you get to the moment of charge, and then you glance over your shoulder to see if anybody's following. It's a horrible feeling when ain't nobody charging, okay? To those of you who said yes to that charge, thank you. I'm indebted to you. And it has been quite a run. We started multi-campus ministry 15 years ago. It was 2004. And for about a year and a half before that, I'd been grabbing every article I could on multi-campus. It was fairly new in the United States. And I would make copies of that, give it to our board, and say, hey, we're going to do this sometime, pray about it. We'll do this sometime, pray about it. We're running out of space at our little campus in our previous sanctuary. And fast forward to July of, I guess that would be 2003. Or August 2003, we went to the annual meeting of the Assemblies of God. It was in Washington, D.C. And did general council, and we were there, and a friend of mine was at an exhibit, and he says, hey, have you seen Mark Batterson is having church in a movie theater? I'm like, church in a theater? Where? Because when we launched our first campus, I saw it being at a theater, Regal Cinema to be specific, over there in Beaver. And so it was at Union Station in D.C. So we went, that Sunday, we went there to church, and we're sitting there in the back. And if you do church services for a living, these pastors will tell you, you can never sit through a service again without critiquing, noticing, whatever. So the whole thing, I'm sitting there going, we could do this, we could do this. So we went to lunch afterwards, and our conversation, me and Joyce, she was, well, has God laid this on your heart? He is. She was there to do it. So end of August that year was our board meeting. We closed out the fiscal year and got approval to go forward with that. So in September, I remember talking to Paul and Marilyn Carlson, maybe you know them. We were good friends, and they'd helped with other projects. I said, okay, we're going to launch this. They're like, yeah, we'll be part of that. So I said, okay, we're going to raise up a team of people. We're going to do it backwards. We're going to launch it, and then we'll find the pastor. We don't have the pastor yet. And so I said, we'll start meetings in September. I talk with my hands. So I said, we'll start the meeting, and in September, I'll play this role, you play this role. By January, it'll go like this, and you're going to be leading this. That's what happened, and 4 months later, we launched from nothing. Then CLC Fairfield, because it was at the Fairfield Mall, and now CLC Beaver Creek is what it is. And our goal was to be one church in several locations, and so we launched North, and that was back in 2010, I believe it was, and then we launched CLC South in 2012. We first went to a school. I was so stoked about that because it was right in the middle of this neighborhood. It was dirt cheap. It was a great environment. We went from there to the community center over there on 725. My big reservation about that was it may be on a great street, but it's not noticeable. It's buried and you don't even know it's there. But as a leader, I learned to say, okay, well, if you want to take a shot, go ahead and take a shot. And so we kind of shot and sort of missed the mark, whatever. We decided to regroup. This building came open, so we called these folks in. How many of you are here from Breath of Life? All right, great. And we didn't expect to have this meeting either. And so they came with us. We joined forces. We did an incredible extreme makeover here. Give yourselves a hand, all right? And not quite 2 years ago, relaunched. And so what brings us here tonight then? How did we get to this place? I'll need you to take a macro view of Christian Life Center as a whole, not just CLC South, and to look at Christian Life Center as a multi-campus church, having 3 other campuses beyond our initial campus. Our campuses have been sort of stalled. This one, not. This one went, but then kind of hit that 100 level. I brag on your stability that some of our campuses, and John sees the reports, a couple of them went, whoa, attendance, and where's it going? And this campus is 100 people plus or minus 10. I don't care when it is. Just boom, there you are. So you're faithful, loyal folks. But as a whole, it feels like over the past year to 2 years, our campuses have sort of hit a stall mode, at the very least a holding pattern, and we have tried a lot to break that loose and have been able to. And so we hold ourselves accountable to, okay, what are our priorities, what are our goals, what do we hold ourselves measurable to when it comes to salvations and baptisms and discipleship and all that, and we've just been stuck in holding patterns. So we came to a very difficult decision that perhaps it would be better to launch our campuses as individual churches. And so walking down that road, what would that look like? And let me jump ahead a little bit to 2 weeks ago, Monday, is when we pulled in our campus staff, our paid staff, and shared the decision with them. Stacy Winnick, who has been on our staff for 3 years, she said, well, this makes perfect sense to me. She said, I've been on staff, and my job has been to coordinate youth ministries among the campuses. And I can tell you, we are not one church in several locations. We are 4 different churches. Because what works at one campus does not even work at another, does not work at the other. And so that was like a confirming light bulb going on for me. Aha, that's part of our problem. We've been trying to pound square pegs into round holes. And it can be a wonderful square peg, but it's not going to fit a round hole, and vice versa. And I think all of us, if we know just our communities, Butler Township is not the same as Beaver Creek, is not the same as West Carrollton, is not the same as Piqua. And so our thinking is if we could launch each campus as an independent Assembly of God church, you could custom make your ministry really to your congregation, your needs, and this community, and what this community specifically needs. So we set out to how do we do that, and the first step was to contact our, I keep saying district, but our state officers, the Ohio Ministry Network of the Assemblies of God, and John is here representing them, and there are people that their specialty is to come alongside churches. They start churches and also come alongside churches to either revitalize them and also take churches into the Assemblies of God as independent churches. And so John Musgrave is here tonight. You'll hear from him just a little bit. And I shared with them the giving level of each of our churches, and also just our ministry levels, okay, how many salvations, and what's discipleship, and all that. And the question to them was, he and Aliano, looking at these just statistically, are these potentially viable churches on their own moving forward? To which we got a very enthusiastic yes. And I trust their judgment. The average church in Ohio, AG, is about how large? Yeah, 75. So you're already above average, okay? So congratulations. And I say that because it's one thing, it's all a matter of comparison, okay? And if you've heard me preach long enough, we tend to compare ourselves. Satan gets us to play the comparison game, and we end up with one of two results. All right, we compare ourselves to somebody way beyond us, and so we feel like garbage. We compare ourselves to somebody less than us, and then we feel arrogant. Okay, and so I want you to know that when it comes to can we move forward from here, I believe a very resounding yes, and they'll tell you that. If you compare yourself to the average church, even our size here, all right. When you look at our facilities, I would say we're way above average. You look at our giving, you look at our people, you look at our ministry, it's a very strong congregation here. So getting the perspective from them, then the next step is to say, okay, I'm not sure, I had the meetings the same week, but okay, campus pastor, if we launched this, John, are you praying about this? Are you in? And so he and Carrie prayed about that, wrestled with it. Initially, we talked about, well, maybe since we're only 2 years into this, we'll launch the other 2 and hold off. And then we came back conversation out, we really think it should be all at the same time if we're going to do that. So they're like, yes, we feel God's called us here to West Carrollton. We think there's a need for a thriving church. We love the people love us. We want to do this. And I'm thrilled about that. I love this couple. They're an amazing couple. I'm not telling you what you don't know. And they're a gift from God. And he is the most likable Michigan fan I've ever met. So that's so far the process. And our board has been asking the questions, wrestling with it back and forth. We do not, and there are board members here tonight. We have Wayne Thomas, and we have Doug Chitwood, and we have Lee Robinson. And we do not move forward on any decisions that are not unanimous, any big ones. And this is certainly one of our biggest ones. And we went back and forth on this for probably 6 or 8 months, since last May, where that would be. And the last Monday of November, we're at 26th, we had our final board meeting on this and wrestled with it pretty late. We really had a sense of unity before we're done. This is the right way to go. And we'll launch the congregations as independent churches. And let me just clarify, let me talk some church ecclesiastical hierarchy talk that doesn't matter a whole lot to people in the pews. But when we hand off to the Assemblies of God, there are 2 steps. Initially, you'll be a network affiliate church, which means that they're going to be training wheels for any new congregation to get off to a good start. So initially, they will be the board the church board will be members of our state offices, who they appoint, plus Pastor John and 1 person from the congregation here. That'll go for 9 to 12 months-ish, okay? Just to make sure that everything goes the right direction. They will help set up the articles of incorporation for you. They'll help set up the chart of accounts, make sure you get the right database, those kinds of things. So they'll help with all the logistics and whatnot. And then as soon as you are able to just go ahead and be on your own, you'll be an independent general council Assembly of God church. And to tell you more church talk than you're probably interested in, The Assemblies of God is a national and international movement, denomination, and our headquarters are in Springfield, Missouri. That's where the General Council of the Assemblies of God is. And so all independent AG churches are General Council affiliate to Springfield. And then that national organization is broken down into state networks. And so we have the Ohio Ministry Network, Illinois, whatnot. And so these are our local offices. So for about a year, you'd be a network affiliate church, and their goal is to just help you graduate into being a General Council church. It is more administrative in nature than anything else, but it's to give support. So in order to, the board set as guidelines or criteria, threshold, here are the yeses that have to happen for this to go forward. First of all, and most important, you as a church family have to vote and say, yes, I'm in favor of going to do this, I'm going to go with the new launch. And in that, your yes is, yes, I'm going to attend regularly, yes, I'm going to give regularly, yes, I'm going to serve. Okay, it doesn't really good to say, hey, yes, I'm good with that, good luck, and I'll see you when I see you. Right? So, yes, I'm in, we're vested. All right? The second yes vote is we need our state officers to say, well, look, here's the vote, here's whatever we think, and based on their opinion, because they're more the experts in this, yes, we think that's very viable. The third yes vote is from the board, because we don't want to launch something that we're not confident is going to succeed, and so they will give their favor to it. And the final ultimate vote is the campus pastor saying, yes, I want to be the lead pastor of that congregation, that decision. So that's the process, and before we're done tonight, we'll ask you to vote. Some of you are already ready to go. Boom, you're ready. Some of you want to pray about it, that's fine. We'll give you a paper ballot, and you can either return the paper ballot tonight, preferably, no later than Sunday in his hands by noon, or there's also on the bottom of the paper ballot an electronic way you can go ahead and go online and vote that way as well. Okay? It can't be anonymous, understand, because we have to know who is actually saying that they're coming. So who's that going to be? So we'll ask you to make that vote as soon as you're confident in doing that. All right? And you can say yes, or you can say, no, I'm going back to Little York, or I'm not undecided yet. Yes?
Is it an individual vote or a couple votes?
Yes, it's individual. So
Okay.
each person should
I
vote.
could say I'm serving, but my wife could say she's not serving,
Yes.
but you wouldn't know who's giving?
We're going to assume that
Okay.
the giving is from you.
Okay.
Yeah. You can speak for both of you in the giving part.
Okay.
Right? You can't make her serve, but you yes. All right, good.
Just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, and you know, when we were going through this whole process, there's about 350 people or so who attend our campuses combined. And you know, the question was, well, how many people do you think will come back? And honestly, my response was maybe 30 people will come back from all three combined. So, and if you're here saying, you know what, I came because of being on CLC's mission, I'm a CLCer through and through, I want to come back, then by all means, come on back. And we'll do everything we can to make that an easy re-entry process for you, help you plug in to a small group and serve and all that, so we'll help remake it your home. But our prayer is that the vast majority will indeed say, God's calling me, I'm saying yes, I'm going forward. All right? And tonight, when I'm done talking, John's going to talk, Musgrave, then Pastor John Kozak, they'll turn it back to me, and then I'll take questions, any details that I'm covering, because I don't want you walking out with any, I wonder or I should have asked. Okay? So we're going to lay it all out here. Questions are our friends. And then we're all done with that, then we'll pass out the ballots. Okay? So, I appreciate that our board has, and if there is assuming there's a yes vote, then the first Sunday of February would be the beginning of your soft launch. Pastor John won't have to feel obligated to come to any more staff meetings at Little York. He can set up his own staff meetings, all right? During February, the soft launch time is when our network officers will come alongside, like I said, help set up the financial, accounting, and the database, all those sort of details, administrative things. Probably the biggest operational change, you're going to come to church and do what you do. The biggest change is rather than preaching about once a month, Pastor John will get to preach every weekend. I've heard him preach, he's got the chops. But that means he can do it, right? So let's give it up to him. Yeah. And during the month of February, Christian Life Center Little York will be responsible for all the expenses for this campus in every aspect of also give you half the income of February from this campus to sort of seed your charter accounts. So you've got some money in the checkbook to get started. All right. In the month of March, you'll continue services, continue the gradual changeover, and you will then receive all the income for the month of March. But Little York will still pay all of your personnel expenses and your rent. And pause button, rent. When we bought this building and renovated it, we invested about $150,000 in cash plus the sweat equity. I think it's been assessed around $500,000 now. And our agreement with the network was, if we divest ourselves of this building, we'd like to get the funds back that we put in, not the value, but the $150,000 back. And so we've set up a payment schedule. If we do that over 10 years, I think it's a $1,250 a month payment. And that, trust me, you can't find that for rent anywhere. When we were talking about that, the other campus pastors were a little envious of that level, since one was paying $4,000 a month and one was almost $7,000 a month. So, and even don't even ask me what we were paying at that community center. It was ridiculous. So, anyways, so that would be the rent, but there would not be any for the month of March. And then in April, CLC will continue. We'll pay the rent payment on that, which will actually be a payment, and you'll assume the rest of the bills in May. You'll be fully on your own as an independent church. And the timing of this is another thing to consider. There are 3 times to launch things when you're a church. And we go by what we call the ministry year, which starts in September and goes through May. It corresponds with the school year, but that's kind of the energy ebb and flow of families. You kind of get back to whatever you're getting back to in the fall. And by I can tell you, in my mind, Mother's Day is the last really solid day of attendance, and then everybody's on vacation. And that's fine. We're in Ohio. If we have to live through this outside all winter long, we deserve to go where it's nice and have fun in the summertime. I never begrudge vacations. But you launch them either in the fall, September-ish, or you launch first of the year, or you launch at Easter. And so to wait longer and start this whole process later, you end up being in the summertime, and that's at home. You kind of trip up there. To launch it now and start looking at yourself having a soft launch. You're doing what you're doing, keep inviting people, whatever, and then really bust through to your own identity and see Easter as kind of like our brand new awakening. That's sort of the timing behind that. And then, assuming that this is a successful congregation, 18 months from now, after existing for 18 months, Christian Life Center will also gift to you all the furniture and fixtures and equipment in the building, and that's worth about $110,000 at each campus. And I appreciate our board. They are kingdom first and generosity oriented, and want to make sure that this was a success. The total investment of launching 3 campuses was over $500,000. But we really want to see these thrive. We didn't birth you and see you come to where you are to then say, there it goes. So we wanted to give as much of a push to go forward as possible. And somebody asked me, I think it was at Beaver Creek, so what do we do with the furniture until then? No, use it. It's yours to use. It's just that it was one safety, if there was a scenario, and I will say to you, this next statement is just between us, okay? You gotta agree, I'm not gonna say it, okay? In my conversations, I have said, right now, the campus that I'm most optimistic about a good future is this one, okay? So, but in talking about, okay, well, what if a campus goes for 6 months, 9 months, the pastor leaves, the campus falters, we say, well, we're a church, whatever. As a steward of what you give, because I'm that way, then I don't want $100,000 worth of equipment out there at some campus that we bought, and who knows where it went. So that's why we want to say 18 months, you're good, we're good, Merry Christmas, God bless you, and continue to go forth. So, and it was fun to watch the campus, or the Little York staff, hear that, and some of them were almost a little like, they get to keep all of it? Yes, they get to keep all of it, so we want them to succeed. So that's pretty much the path forward. I'm going to ask John Musgrave to come and share what role the network will play. then Pastor John will share, and then whatever questions you've got, we'll take all the ones you have. All right? So, John Musgrave.
Thank you, Pastor Stan. And we've had the privilege of serving with the network for 13 years now. And just to give you a little background, prior to that, I pastored in the Youngstown corridor. I was there at Youngstown, Girard, Ohio, for 27 years before coming to the network about 13 years ago. So we have worked with probably half of the churches in our network in some form or fashion. Pastoral transitions, revitalization, so forth and so on. And really find ourselves in a unique situation with these campuses changing to standalone churches. But at the same time, many of the tools and resources that we've used in other circumstances, we see applied very well in these situations. So just to give you a little bit of a thought process on our part, Pastor Stan mentioned earlier, not only myself, but also Pastor Aliano. Pastor Aliano serves the network as our church multiplication director, so he was responsible for planting new churches. So we see ourselves, Pastor Al, church multiplication, Pastor John Musgrave, church development, working hand in hand with both of these new opportunities. We see ourselves as a coach. We see ourselves as a consultant. We see ourselves basically helping Pastor John and Pastor Nehemiah thrive as a lead pastor, and also their leadership teams thrive as leadership teams. We're not here to impose what we think might or might not work on them or on their leadership team. We're here to counsel. We're here to advise. They can sound off those ideas and say, hey, we think that's really great, or we might say, you might want to think about this before you do that. As Pastor Stan said, we have a team that's going to help with the incorporation process, the EIN process, those kinds of things, the practical pieces of the ministry. We also have teams that will help with some of the more ministerial pieces of the ministry. We have a KidMin director, have a kids ministry, have a youth director, have a youth ministry. All of those resources come alongside you and your pastor to help in any way we can. The first 6, 9, 12 months, we see you as a network-affiliated church. Pastor Stan did a great job explaining that. I would add one caveat to that. Part of being a network church also allows us to kind of classify you as a church plant, and that also will allow the application of some other grant money that might help with some of the transition process. If you came in as just a network church, that grant money would not be available. But as a network church plant, some of that grant money could be available, and I think Pastor Al might have called you earlier today about that and so forth. So we see that as a great way to give you the greatest opportunity for success in the next 12 to 18 months. At the same time, there is no rigidity to how long you stay a network church. If things are going well in 6 months and you meet the basic criteria of a general council church, we have no problem moving you even faster than 9, 12 months. For us, it's not about rigidness. It's about we want to ensure that you're really healthy enough to sustain yourself as what we would call that general council church. And so, again, we're here as training wheels to help in any way we can. We've already met with your pastor 2 or 3 times, and we're going to meet with them again next week to come alongside. We feel that relationship is going to be the biggest chip for us in this situation. Build a relationship with you, build a relationship with your leadership team, so that we can help you in any way we can to resource, to come alongside, and so forth. And again, just a little side note on that network affiliated. Doug Clay was superintendent when I became church development director. We had almost 100 network affiliated churches 12 years ago. Okay, today as I stand before you, we have about 30 network affiliated churches. So we've moved 70 churches from NA to general council status. I say that to say we're not here to keep our nose, quote unquote, in your business. We're here to help you become the healthiest, strongest church you can be, reaching this community with the gospel of Jesus Christ. Because even though this place looks pretty full tonight, and I'm glad for that, there's still a lot more people outside the walls of this church that need Jesus than that are inside the walls of this church already having found Jesus. And so our vision always needs to be bigger than what we see in this building right now. Would to God you have to go to 2, 3, 4 services and someday maybe say, hey, that building's not serving our purposes anymore. We need to get something different. Wouldn't that be an awesome conversation to be having? And I think that's what God's thinking right now. He's thinking, man, I can use that group of people to touch West Carrollton. I want to say thank you to Pastor Stan and CLC for the investment they've already made in this. I kind of see this as my kids, as adolescents, going off to college and kind of setting up their career. I have a son 37, a daughter 35, and I hope that I invested some things in them that allowed them to be the adult they are today. If you would see my son tonight, you would know he is my son, because he bears a lot of the same DNA, physically, so forth and so on. But there's some things that he thinks, I think, man, where did he come up with that at? You know, he didn't get it from me. He got it from college, education, other relationships. This church probably will always bear some of the DNA of CLC. Thank you for that. God bless you. But at the same time, it's probably going to bear a little bit of a different DNA, because as it grows and matures and becomes its own, you might say, hey, that kind of looks like CLC Little York. But in some ways, it doesn't look like CLC Little York. Well, tonight, in a sense, is an opportunity for maybe an adolescent church, i.e. teenage, young adult, to begin to take on more of an adulthood for you. And thank God for the DNA that's been planted. Let's build on that DNA. But let's not hold ourselves to that DNA, because God probably has something much better for you than even any of us can ever imagine. One of my favorite passages of Scripture is, I'm thankful that I serve a God who's able to do exceedingly, abundantly, above all that we ask or think. I don't know about you, that's a loaded verse of Scripture. I believe that through your pastor, through your leadership team, and hopefully a little bit of help from the Ohio Ministry Network, God is going to be able to do exceedingly, abundantly, above anything that we could ask or think, if we'll just believe Him for it. Amen? Pastor John.
How's everyone doing again? I noticed Pastor John, your voices kind of sound alike right now.
I've had this for about 3 months now.
Yeah. I didn't know kind of where I wanted to start talking tonight, and I'm not going to speak for super long because I know you all have a lot of questions that you probably want to ask, but I'm thankful for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. And I guess kind of where I'd like to start is when Carrie and I moved here 2 years ago, we didn't expect to be in this position, right? That's kind of what Pastor said when we started 15 years ago. So we didn't expect to be here, but what Carrie and I did expect when we moved here is that we would grow, and that we would learn, and we'd see God move, and we'd come to love our congregation so much, and God would put a passion in our hearts for this area, and that's what He's done over 2 years. That's what God's done in our hearts and our lives. And so I was talking beforehand to Pastor about my time at CLC, and he was talking about how much he likes me and everything.
I honestly would.
But no, I was just saying, man, I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful for being at CLC, and I'm so thankful for my relationship with Pastor, and hopefully the continued relationship that we have. And so I start there to say this. When we didn't expect this, and when we found out whatever a couple months ago Carrie and I, we kind of went on, the roller coaster of emotions of, what in the world? Why did we move down here? Why are we here? Did we just leave? We're just getting started. All of these different things. And I shared this the other night. I've shared this in a lot of conversations I've had with a lot of you. Is Carrie and I took about a week to pray about things. And a little side note, Carrie and I, we've known each other basically our whole lives. As long as I can remember, I've known Carrie. Our parents met at a prayer meeting when we were 3 or 2 or whatever. And so that's really cool because, Carrie's her heart's so pure for the Lord. She just has such a pure desire to love God and serve Him and to love people. And so Carrie kind of got to the point before maybe I did, and she kind of said, I don't think we're done here. I think God has us here. And so, as I prayed, that's where we felt peace, that God has us here. And we love our church. We believe we're here for a reason. We believe we're here for a time, for a season, and it's for this time. And so, I don't know what the future's going to look like, right? But I do trust God. I do have an overwhelming sense of peace and assurance that we're in the center of God's will, and we're in. We've already voted. We went online. But anyways, just a little bit of encouragement I want to give you before we open up for questions. In Matthew 16, Jesus made the statement that He would be the one building the church. That Jesus is building the church. And so we have the assurance that we can't fail. Because God's in control and Jesus is building the church. And that's an oversimplification, right? But it's not. Jesus is in control. And so, regardless of if Pastor Stan's your lead pastor or if I'm your lead pastor, Jesus is the one building the church.
I'll take over, John.
Yeah, there you go. And so if we're faithful, if we're obedient, if we have faith, we're in good hands. But I want to share just quickly the book of Acts, the beginning of the New Testament church, and it gives us a picture of what the early church was like, and I think what every church should be like, and what I imagine our church to be. And then so in Acts 2:42, it talks about the early church devoting themselves to the apostles' teaching, to fellowship, the breaking of bread, and to prayer. And so it says that the early church was devoted, that they were a group of people that were committed. That word devoted there means every single day it was on their mind the work of Jesus Christ. Every single day they devoted themselves. They devoted themselves to Christ's mission. And so I don't want to be a church that just does services on Sunday, but I want to be devoted every day of the week. I want us to be a church that, we can be the church and we can go to people and they can experience church without coming here on Sundays. That we're a church that goes and we're devoted to what Jesus wants to do, and we're devoted to the Word of God. And so that's going to be my focus, is being devoted to teaching and preaching to the Word of God. I love the Bible. Love the Word of God. And we're devoted to fellowship. That we look around and we don't view each other as strangers, but we view each other as a church family. We're the family of God. You've heard me say that so many times. We are family. And maybe some of us feel like that, maybe some of us don't. But that's where I want us to get to the place that when people walk through this door, if it's their first time, I want them to feel like, man, it's coming to a family reunion. That people love each other. They're devoted to fellowship, to family, to bearing one another's burdens. And next thing it says, to the breaking of bread. We love to eat here, right? That's when we get the best church attendance. Is if we have breakfast here. Yeah. But the breaking of bread, it also symbolized that they would take the Lord's Supper when they got together. And that meant they were getting together for a purpose. And that was the Great Commission, when Jesus told them, pretty much their last words, they go and make disciples. And they weren't just getting together to play church, but they were getting together on purpose, for a purpose. The breaking of bread reminded them the purpose of Jesus Christ was to go into all the world to make disciples of all nations, right? So that's why we're here. We believe that there's people in West Carrollton, Miamisburg, South Dayton that need to experience church if they don't come here. They need to experience the hope of Jesus Christ. And so I want to be a church for West Carrollton, for Miamisburg, and then for prayer. Church that is a house of prayer, that we seek the Lord first. We walk in His ways, and we hear from God in a real way, in a tangible way, not in a weird way. But we experience the power of the Holy Spirit. We hear from God. And so that's my heart. I think I oversimplify a lot, but I want to be a simple church that's used for God's glory. And man, Karen, I love you guys so much. I'm so thankful over the past 2 weeks for the conversations I've had, for the messages that have been sent to me about support and encouragement, for the questions that have been asked. They really do help me gain perspective on where we're at. And so I'm just so thankful for you guys. I love you guys so much. And I know a lot of you heard 2 weeks ago, so maybe conjuring up feelings of excitement is hard. But I want you to hear from me and from Carrie. We really are excited. We really feel like God is the one who is leading, and He's in control, and we're just following. And so we're excited about the future. We're excited to continue to be a pastor. We're excited to be a church here. So that's all I got. I love you guys. I guys open up the questions.
Most distinctive difference between us. You push the thing down, I pull it back up. Well, there's no doubt in your mind why I'm confident about this going forward with Pastor John and Carrie and with all of you. And in case you have questions, I want to answer them. And I know sometimes it's hard to be the first person. So what I'm going to do is I got a couple of, shall we call them intense emails, after we met a couple of weeks ago on a Thursday, inviting lay leaders to the Monroe campus. And there were some questions that I can filter out intensity and look for the truth and the value in it. And so some of them are pretty helpful. One email in particular, the person kind of rapid-fired some issues. And they said, well, then what you're saying is that the God-sized vision didn't work. All right? Let me speak to that. And Frank brought this down for me tonight. And I'm sure you thought it might have been in vain, but I'm going to use it. Right? And Frank McCord is our executive director, and Ken is our newest member of our team, is our project coach. So the board members, these guys will be here afterwards for questions as well. Our God-sized vision, in case this is new to you, back in 2008, when I first drew this, it is building the church. It's an abbreviation, changing our world, a GSV God-sized vision for CLC. In 2008, I said this takes about the next 5 to 7 years. And it's based on Acts 1:8, where Jesus said the Holy Spirit will come upon you. You will receive power to be witnesses in Jerusalem, abbreviation, Judea, Samaria, and the uttermost parts of the earth, UPE. Jerusalem for us was our Little Oak Road campus, and SMP stands for Strategic Ministry Priorities. Those are the goals and metrics we hold ourselves accountable for. And we wanted to spend the next few years getting really good at worship and relationship, discipleship, serving, evangelism. At the time in 2008, I said someday we might want to build a larger sanctuary in New York, growing out of room, probably seat around 2,000 people. Not sure what we'd do with that. And then we do an extreme makeover when we did, which we actually did. Among our partner churches in the inner city, which is what Samaria represents, we found 4 or 5 of them, 4 churches, with their volunteers and ours. We gutted the sanctuary, painted it, recarpeted it, and then we had a bunch of carpentry type volunteers went in and cut all of our pews in great shape and retrofitted them to their sanctuaries. So there's like 4 remade sanctuaries in Greater Dayton. The inner city is really cool. So we did that. Samaritans are similar but different from the Jews. And so here we're like a cross-cultural ministry. For us, it's our ministries with our partners throughout our inner city. Uttermost parts speaks for itself. We're about the Judea piece. Judea is church multiplication. When I first said this way back in the day, we planted 2 churches earlier in my tenure as lead pastor, and neither of them survived long. We didn't do it well. It was just kind of like, okay, who wants to go? Or 50 people, okay, go, God bless you. One we launched to Fairborn, and I thought that church was going to go. It went from like 50 to about 100, and then all of a sudden the year just went jing, and disappeared. The other one we launched in Troy. It went around about 50 people, stayed 50 people for like 25 years, and just a year or two ago, I think, finally closed. So I said, well, our approach to multiplication is through multi-campus. At that time, we just had Fairfield, we called it, Beaver Creek. It was around 150 to 200 people, and the campuses are going to follow our strategic ministry priorities, those goals. They'll give to World Outreach, WO. They will be financially self-sustaining, is what that is, and they'll be part of the God-sized vision. At that time, we want to launch 3 more campuses with 150 to 180 people, see them grow, self-sustain them, on down the line. Well, we've done this now for 15 years, and this is an applause point. In 15 years combined ministry, it's 31 years, all 3 campuses combined, we've seen over 500 people come to Christ throughout campuses alone. So praise God for that. If I had the foresight, we would have started campuses saying eventually they're going to become independent Assembly of God churches. Didn't know that, all right? But now you are, or I don't believe that of this congregation. And so did that not work? No, we can't say it didn't work. And we're also not getting out of the church multiplication ministry. We will still be committed to church multiplication, but I don't foresee any time in the distant future that CLC will either plant or satellite a church. As John just spoke, our state is very involved in planting churches all across the state. We'll say, where can we come alongside somebody? Can we do a project? Can we help support something? So there's a lot of wind beneath our wings we can be with church multiplication without being either multi-campus or planting a church from us. So we're going to do that and learn more and grow more and help other churches be planted. So we'll still be about that. And it'll be up to you and your pastor. But this is a great template for ministry. I've seen churches of all sizes say, what's our Judea, Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, all those parts. It's very biblical. So it did not work. And we had a good conversation last night at our North Campus, realizing most people change churches on some kind of regularity. We are blessed at CLC to have a huge number of people that are there 15, 20, 25, 30 years. Just tons. They come and they stay. But a lot of people, they'll be somewhere for 2 years and they leave. They'll be somewhere else for 3 years, they'll leave, whatever. And so for the years that this campus has been in existence, you don't know how many people you've impacted and touched since 2012, in 7 years. And their spiritual autobiography, they're no longer here, right, is going to include, well, you know what, we went to this church that was meeting in a school in our neighborhood, or they were meeting in this community center across from Carrabba's. You can't fall into Carrabba's, that's a great landmark. You ever eaten at Carrabba's? Yes. Great Italian food. The bread. I can just eat the salad and the bread, right? Or they'll say, I remember this church took over another church right there in West Carrollton, and I went there. There are spiritual autobiographies that talk about that and the impact that God had on them through you in this place. So don't underestimate what that's about, right? Another statement was that the Samaritan GSV and the outermost parts of the GSV are more important than the Judean GSV. And when I responded to that, I said something like, you've got to be kidding. You could not prove or demonstrate that in any possible practical way. Because when it comes to, and the light's glaring at, can you see this okay from where you're looking at? No?
No.
How's that? Yeah. Okay. Frank, would you mind helping me? Because I got to use my hands. Okay. They're saying, well, this is more important than this. In the years that we've been in this, our campuses have received $6 million of investment, about 5.6 in giving that came in, but have received countless more dollars. And when you talk about Little York staff, infinitely more Little York staff time goes to our campuses, has gone to them on a regular weekly basis than has ever gone into here and here. This is run almost entirely, except for one staff person and secretary, almost entirely by volunteers. is not, it's from maybe outside looking in, well, what's more important? It is not. We have put our money and our time and effort and our prayers where our mouth is in helping these be successful. Right? And they are successful, and you're going to see the future is going to show that you're successful as a congregation, right? And that's different from us being successful as a multi-campus church. And what we've seen is churches that have really thrived in multi-campus ministry, all right, seem to become experts at cloning themselves. And there's not individuality to it. It is like a cookie cutter in a good way. I mean, each campus is like the same place. I went to a campus of a multi-campus church, had 2,000 people at it, and you never know you're at the campus, you think you're at the main place. And as Stacy said, and I talked about earlier conversation, we really have 4 different churches. We have a likeness in some ways. We have 4 different congregations. I think it's time to let those congregations be who they are. Let's see. Is there another question? Oh, one comment was made that I really felt badly about because the person said that it seemed like a lack of appreciation for the people who were initiatives, especially the ones who were part of the original launch. And nothing could be further from the truth. I am being a big boy tonight, as unselfish as I sound, saying, I want you to go with this new church and this pastor. The selfish side of me wants to say, I want you to come back. You're good people. You're pioneer people. You're courageous. You care about the community kind of people. Okay? The people that don't give a rip are the ones who darken our doors once or twice a month. They don't do a thing. They experience a service and they walk out. Okay? The quality gem kind of people are you. And so, please, if anything, accept my deepest appreciation for who you are and for what you've done and what you've accomplished. And I do believe from the bottom of my heart that this congregation is going to succeed. And you have Pastor John and Carrie, they're an amazing couple. We have the help of our state leaders to come alongside you. They're experts in this. We've done our best to try to make sure that from a financial and assets perspective, you've got all you need and then some. And so nothing can be farther from the truth. So with deep appreciation, as I told you when I started, this is the most bittersweet thing I've done. And I am hoping, for the sake of the God-sized vision and all we've done, that this does become a successful church on your own. You're already successful, now on your own. And let me help you with the apprehension side, then we'll take questions. From where you sit and what you do, the biggest noticeable difference is simply he'll be up here 3 more times a month. If you do kids, you're going to keep doing kids. You do hospitality, you do hospitality. You do greeting, connecting, you do greeting, you do tech. You're doing the same thing. It's really not at all like we're launching a church. Okay? We're just going to change your lanes and continue to move forward. All right? Another thing I just want to encourage you to is that, again, when you're not in the deep in the weeds and you're looking from the outside looking in, one statement was, we've been under-resourced, and this was from a different campus. Pastor so-and-so should not be the one cleaning the toilets, etc., etc. And I thought to myself, well, of course he shouldn't. And then I raised the question of that campus. I hope you don't think, well, put it a different way. When Frank oversees our facilities, we could not care for the facilities and grounds of Christian Western Little York if we didn't have the huge team of volunteers on our custodial and maintenance teams. Can I get an amen? I mean, every day, every week, all year long. We could not pay the bills and do our accounts and count our offering and all that stuff at Little York that is the home base financially right now, bookkeeping-wise, for all our campuses, if it weren't for all the volunteers who come in and join alongside our paid staff who do bookkeeping and accounts payable and count offerings and do all that, dozens of them every week, all year long, all right? And so I say that to say it will be no different here, okay? And so that's going to speak to some of you to figure out, okay, let's make a custodial schedule. Let's have a work day. Hey, I can come in on Mondays and work on doing the bookkeeping or count the offering, whatever kinds of thing. We are one of our tightest, relationally tightest, most committed small groups we have in church at CLC Louisville has been meeting for 20 years on Mondays. At least 20 years. Same group of people, and they come in at 9 o'clock in the morning, and they leave somewhere between 3 and 5 at night. Every single Monday, set your clock by it. There are offering counter ladies. It's like 6 or 8 ladies, and when they started this, they were in their 50s, and now they're like in their 70s. And one was at least one is 80. They do it every week, and that's like their small group, right? So there'll be some logistical things you'll need to step into, but you'll do it. And some of you that have been sitting there going, I'm not a kids teacher. I don't want to just pass out bulletins. I can't sing. I got different gifts. This would be an opportunity for some more, not tons, but some more volunteer opportunities to open up. You'll be able to step into. So I think I'm done talking. Now, questions.
One of the questions that I have is, we talked about being under
Our ministry network. Yes.
when you talk about board, about the board being set up, you said 3 from the district up there. You said, pastor
John.
and one other member. First question is, does it have to be just one other member? That's something set in stone on how that works. And the second thing is Pastor John selecting that board member? This is kind of new from us, and
Good
I've
question.
asked this before. Frank has asked me to remember in terms of board members coming only from Louisville in terms of the past.
Good question. I'll let John answer that one. Is there also an advisory team?
As a network-affiliated church, each one of our network-affiliated churches, as I said earlier, about 30 throughout the state, they have a local advisory committee. And the basic operations of the church is controlled by that local advisory committee. That committee is selected by your pastor, and that can be 3 to 5 individuals from the church. Okay? The board that we spoke of, which we call a network affiliate board of directors, is made up of the superintendent, John Wooten, the assistant superintendent, Jim Palmer, your general area presbyter, which is Chris Beard, Cincinnati, and your local presbyter, who is Eric Smith, along with your pastor and one of the advisory committee members, local, that he chooses to add to that board. Now, the only decisions made by that network board, theoretically, are the buying and selling the property and going into further debt. Okay? We basically want to shield that church from unwise decisions. Okay? The other situations, who teaches a Sunday school class, who runs the youth, that's up to this pastor and that local advisory committee. Okay? So it's those big major decisions when that church is in its infancy that we just want to kind of guide and protect them from. At the same time, you find a really good deal on something and hey, we need to borrow a little money. He brings that to us. I'm going to ask him some questions. Where are you going to come up with that money? Well, we've got that in the bank already. Or we're going to take pledges and we're going to, and as long as he answers those questions, as a rule, it's, man, go for it, But we just want to be that protection that causes him to say, time out. Again, then once, let's say 10 months from now, you move to general council status. That local advisory committee, by and large, then becomes the local board of the church. And we step back. And you're basically calling your own shots completely. Does that help you a little bit?
It
Okay?
Good question. What else?
I just want to clarify, because there was some conversation about repayment of $150,000. And so what we're saying is that for 10 years, we'll have this payment every month, which is $1,250. And then at the end of that, then it's free and clear to us.
You own the building and all the things, you will build the stuff in it in 18 months. Yes, the building's yours.
Now,
Changes
does that
title.
include any, I didn't do the math, does that include any interest or anything like that, or is it just
No,
a repayment?
that's an interest-free.
Of the balance?
Yeah, interest-free repayment. Good question.
So currently, we've been tithing through the envelope that gets sent to our house.
Okay.
So my question that I was kind of asking, I asked John, is that included right now in the giving to CLC, or is that included in the giving for South? Because I don't know if that's, so I just have that question, because we were actually one of the members that went to CLC in the very beginning,
Mhm.
launched, all of that, so
Yes.
that was one of my
Okay,
questions.
thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
You can continue to give to CLC through February because your chart of accounts won't be set up initially. It'll take a little time to do that. And as I said, what we'll do is at Little York, we'll pay all the bills for this campus's operation in February. And we'll actually take half the income and give that back to you to start your checkbook, so to speak, for March. And we said half because we didn't want to play weekend roulette. And so if we have 2 good weeks, the first 2 weeks, and the next 2 weeks it snows, we're not going to go, oh, sorry, those are your weeks, too bad. So we'll take half the income and take that and put it into the checkbook, the chart accounts for March. So you continue to, like you have been, online, because you won't be set up yet to receive it. So give to Little York through February, and all that money will then go to your campus. The half that goes to your campus, but we pay the bills for the whole month. And then starting in March, by then you'll have new envelopes and all that set up, and it'll be whatever the name of the church is, and you'll just give to that. So you just make your switch in March. Good question.
How do we go about changing our name of the church? I mean, I don't suppose we can affiliate ourselves at all with Christian Life Center.
Yeah, that'd be confusing if we do that. It'll be up to you to pick a new name. So far, he's suggested John and Carrie's place. I think but if you guys want to go with it, that'll be your decision.
Or not the church up north.
What? Maize and blue. Oh, let's go.
Put a church up on front, how little miles outside.
I assume, and John Musgrave, you can speak to that, I assume they'll have like a meeting or somehow to choose the name and that sort of.
And we've been having ongoing conversations with Pastor Nehemiah and Pastor John. One of the things that has to be done fairly quickly is the selection of a name, because that is part of the incorporation process. And so there's one large domino, I call it, that contains about 5 pieces. One of those is the name of the church, so that you can then incorporate, so that you get your EIN, so forth and so on. So I'm sure that Pastor John has been thinking about that, pondering that, and how he gives that out through a leadership team, through the congregation. That is really up to him, but that is one of the major pieces that has to be defined prior to the incorporation process and so forth. So that will be done fairly quickly, because that large domino impacts chart accounts, banking, so forth and so on. So, but how that's going to be decided, that will be determined by your pastor and so forth.
Great questions.
Hey, CLC just changed their online accounts or giving, so, we'll, I guess, receive information that that's considered part of CLC, then, and we'll have notification for that, and then when we change over, our giving will go to new accounts. So,
We moved databases. We had a database called Fellowship One. We moved to Ministry Platform, and that's why you've been asked, if you're an online giver, to set up a new account for that. But that function for this congregation will cease at the end of February. Come March, Pastor John will have something in place for you, and so you'll get notification of that.
But I have a question. So if you're one of those ones where it's automatically taken out, it won't cease. I have to.
You have to stop it. Yes, ma'am, you do. Yes.
Great questions.
So, this might be a question for you, really. So, do you guys help like with the bulletins? Do you help with the envelopes? I mean, or is that like John and Gary doing all of that, or
There's one more option, or
one of us?
there you go. I'll say it for you.
You know, Frank, myself, Pastor Al, and your pastor, we have actually got an Excel spreadsheet of certain things that are going to have to be taking place over the next 30, 45 days. And I was in a meeting earlier this morning with people from our office. Okay, who can take care of this? Who can take care of this? And when I say take care of it, let's guide and direct the process. And I've got that document now tonight. And I'm going to be emailing that to you and to John and to others. We are not going to be doing those things per se, but we'll be pointing your pastor and or his leadership team to people that can help with those things.
And nowadays, too, with online giving, bulletins, websites, all, there are so many very, very good resources already out there, already put together, to where kind of the church in a box, you can kind of just do it really quickly. So there are tons of those kind of resources.
Just, my question is, I mean, me and you talk a lot, you know, like, there might be different tapping into different gifts in this room, you know what I mean, than what we're doing now. So that's the reason I'm asking this question, because, you know, with us being part of a large church, there was a lot, like you're saying, there was a lot of things that were happening behind the scenes that we don't know that's happening. And now, you know, we're just trying to figure out, okay, where are we going to fit in on the voluntary levels?
Yes.
So,
That's a great question, and that's also why for February, we're like, okay, administrative side, we're just gonna keep doing that, while you guys figure it out, get it all in place. I think we're providing the bulletin cover, the template for that, if you need it for February. So we're trying to make that a soft handoff. And yes, those of you that maybe haven't felt utilized, we have gifts you haven't used. At Little York, I can tell you, we use tons of volunteers who are not only bookkeepers and accountant types, we use database types, we use data entry types, we use photographers, we use commercial art kinds of people, we use lab kinds of people, we use social media kinds of people, volunteers. So if you're involved in those areas and you're not serving, number one, I apologize that we didn't tap into you earlier, but number two, now is your chance to say, hey, I can do this, I can do this, I can try that. And so that'll be an opportunity. And the cool thing is, you know, when we started in the school, if you were there, everybody has a job to do, okay? If nothing else, the seat you're going to sit in, you're going to set it up, and you're going to tear it down, right?
and then roll it out onto the
Roll it out. I remember having rolled down that truck, I'm like, oh my goodness, I got to pray harder for you guys, right? It's a back breaking and bacon, right? So, and the good thing, the bad thing about that is it wears you out, okay? You're ready to sit down and just rest in church, okay? But the good thing is, you never feel more like a part of a church than when you start to serve, it becomes us. It's no longer they should, it's us, it's we, all right? And then when you grow together in some kind of small group or class, but it's serving that really makes it your home, all right? And everybody eventually wants to not have to keep setting up and tearing down, setting up and tearing. We just had our own place. And you get your own place, and it's nice, but you lose a little bit of that, hey, we're all in. And this gives a chance now for everybody to find out where your gifts are and to use those. And I'm a fanatic, you know, I never hesitate asking you to give money or time because you're going to get rewarded and help you both of those. And one of the coolest things I like doing is helping people find theirs. In fact, there was a guy last night, another campus, and I was telling us, I love helping people. Sorry. When you have your gifts and abilities, I love helping you line it up with the
kingdom opportunity, man, and watch the look on their face. Because there is no greater satisfaction than when you know you're using your gift for something that does direct ministry for God. So some of you are going to find that you kind of felt more like this, and it's going to be boom, whoa, and
You might even say we should have done this earlier, but anyway. So, other questions? They're all excellent questions.
Just to be really, really clear, I want to make sure that I'm referencing.
We want it crystal clear, yes.
So this will sever all ties with CLC, meaning that it's not that this becomes an independent church and one day it will be part of Samaria and a partner church. This means that this is an independent church and has nothing whatsoever ever to do, ever even with CLC.
Good question. Let me answer that in a few different ways. First of all, I still hope you'll come back and visit. You know, come back for Christmas. You can come on a Saturday night, you know. I don't know if you're misleading, you can.
Stan, I help do Beaver Creek. You know that.
Yeah.
And I've been in home churches all my life. My wife can stand for vouch for it, you guys. No matter what, God will make it work. I've seen it. I've been through home churches. You know who Xenos is. You know I was involved with Xenos for years. 15 years I preached the gospel. I brought in almost 100 people in my life. You can do this. You got to trust. It's just like being a child. Stan will back me up on Scripture. He knows I know my Scripture. The Lord says that He sends us out to each and everybody around us. It doesn't mean He sends us to Africa, although Stan wants to go to Africa. That's great. And are we not part of it? Sure we are. That's what God told us to do. But He also told us around us. And guess what happened in this church, you guys? Look around. Now, you guys don't know a whole lot about me. I'm a kind of a backwards guy in the background. I put out together. I kill bugs. She's my daughter. She's a teacher. My wife was a teacher for Christ. But Stan, I'm proud of you, man. I swear, man. This guy knows I came from Cleveland, and we know what it is to be in Cleveland in the bad way of rough life. We both do. I started sharing Christ when I was 12 years old. That guy didn't know me, but if we'd known one another, we'd been sharing Christ together. I will tell you what these guys have done. I don't know you, and I don't know you, and I don't know any of you guys financially. But I will tell you, God made a business called Prevent Pest Control out of my brother. You can look up the word prevent. It's in the Bible one time. I told my brother when he was 20-some years old, go start a pest control for God. Are we not here, Elizabeth Ann? Brenda? I watched God make our whole life and share Christ. Now my pulpit's been hot rods. Like you said, you got the thumb, you got the finger, you got it all.
Yeah.
But that idea, I'm still for you. And I will tell you, you need me to help you. I was broke when I lost my job down there in Lorraine. And you know what God's made me into today? Pretty good.
Amen.
I've got, not you, not the church, guys. God. That's what He's trying to teach us all here. It's really about God. John, you know me. I've watched people come to Christ. I've brought people to Christ. I started home churches when I was 18 years old. We literally had 4 apartments. Elizabeth Ann, she knows this. And worked with Xenos. And you know Xenos, everyone else. Great church, am I right? And then I start out in those, hey, did you ever go to one?
Awesome. No.
You should have. Guys, I literally, in my life, I was 19 years old. We went into this place outside of Ohio State. I never knew how many people knew Christ that wanted to know the truth, not religion. And I will tell you, I still know some of them guys to this day. And we are the greatest friends, and one of my friends who owned a home church in Beaver Creek is 89 years old to this day. And I will tell you, he brought at least 200 people to Christ.
Nice.
So, you know, I believe in you, Stan. I believe in everything you've done. And this will work, guys. It will work.
Absolutely.
It worked already.
And
It's already worked.
going forward, while you're an independent son of a church, okay, I'm glad you asked that because people have asked, well, could we become one of our interstate partnerships? No, these folks are under-resourced, okay, and they attend their urban churches, and so really this wouldn't qualify. But we're still friends as churches too. Yes. So if somebody from here wants to go on a trip to Africa, I met with our Africa team today. We're like, by all means, yes, okay. We'd want you to talk to Pastor John, okay, I want great, and then apply through our process like you're going, yes. You want to go to Turkey? Yes. You want to do a meal pack? Hey, you want to come up and do a meal pack? Great. Get the people together, and we'll have you there. It'll be like a homecoming. So we're still gonna love each other and be part of the kingdom, okay? And so it's not like, okay, I'm not, you know, we don't duck each other in the store, no, we hug each other, right? Got that? Right? So, you can buy my coffee at McDonald's if you want to. So.
And to give a little input on that, I guess just the way that I feel is, I've never, I don't know if I've ever had success in life by like, or in any area, just by like remaining, trying to avoid someone or something, trying to avoid an area. And so like, I feel like we need to have a good relationship with Chris and I time together. So I would want somewhat of a relationship to continue with.
Well, and one of the last things I said to John, we were standing in the back before it started, I said, you know, you need to text the ones.
Yeah.
Right, so, I would like to think we're part of the same body. And so we see each other, you know, how's it going? Hey, good, you know, and if you come and visit sometime, hey, man, we're here, oh, great, you know, good to see you, tell us John. Hi.
Stan, I got one question for you.
Yes.
Because this is where my heart was about 2 weeks ago when I heard about it with you. I didn't get to talk to you because I'm not that way, you know, kind of. So. But what hurt me though in my heart, and I told God one night, I said, Lord, I said, I feel kind of cheated on both ends of the line. You know, Lord, you've worked me, you've given me the success in my life. Now I can give for the first time in my life. Financially, not in the church the way I used to be. Doing this, doing that, getting this done, cleaning the floors, going to the bathroom. I did it all. My wife and I both did 3 years. So now he lets us do it in a different way. So I thought to myself, well, I don't want to lose you as my friends.
You want to what?
I don't want to lose you as our friends in giving.
Okay.
So are you going to let us know when personal things come out? Regardless of we're in church with John, and we're separated from you guys. Don't you think the Apostle Paul would want us to know what you're doing so that we can help you like he helped all them other churches?
Sure, and my...
So you've got to let us know that though, Stan.
Okay.
You see what I'm kind of getting at here?
I do. Well, let me say this.
Because Brenda and I might want to give for something for you.
And a couple things. Your tithe always belongs here.
Right, we know that.
Okay. And if God speaks to you beyond that, I didn't even talk to him about it. Or hey, have you heard anything about CLC lately? Right? And plus, you can stay in touch with us on the website.
Okay.
I mean, we're very accessible.
Because that's what me and Brenda
Yeah.
felt.
So you know, we're not going to turn that away. But we want your tithe coming here. This is.
Yeah.
I've always wanted that. All right, so yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
So if you serve
Have you been here all night?
Yes, I have.
You have done it behind you. You got my
I know
article,
her from a long way.
right? By the way, do you have my article?
Yes.
Okay, all right. She does our Swazi newspaper, and she gives me more grace than I deserve. I'm sorry. I'm always a couple days late. Anytime she sends this real nice email that my articles do, I tell myself, I'm get that to her now. And then all schedule breaks loose, and I'm 3 days later, I'm like, please forgive me. So, thank you. I'm sorry, what's your question?
We edited. But, so if you serve in a leadership capacity out of one of the ministries outdoors, is it my assumption or maybe the question, do you resign from that? Or do you maintain that? Like, is that, how do you do that? What's that
Wow.
like?
That's a good question. You know, I hadn't even thought about the complexity of that until you.
Yeah.
Right? Because Tracy, she could do her job in Dayton or Holland. I mean, as far as her serving, because she's remote and it's all online. I think over time she's a gravitate to here. And so find a way, please find a replacement. I hate to lose you. Oh, man, see, that's
We kind of feel that way, Stan.
I'll trade you. I'll Tracy Murchison and give you a Steve Carr.
Yeah, see what you did now, Stan?
I hate that. I mean, in all fairness, though, I would want over time, unless you worked on that with him, I would want you to serve here, and maybe figure out how to raise our church here. And so then you got to figure out, okay, Pastor John, we got this itch for communications, for the kingdom, how are we going to use it? So if he doesn't use you in a year, you come back. But your needs are very, I don't want you having the double allegiance and whatever, and I'm there and there, even though it kills me to even say that. So, it's the hardest question I've had all 3 places.
Wow.
Because it hits me.
Yeah.
I got 2 questions, probably for him. Number 1, you mentioned some grant money from the Assemblies of God. What would be like a category, what would that, something that'd be an example of that?
You know, that is called, in this case, a capacity grant. And I don't know that there's strings attached to that as far as what it's used for. We see that as an opportunity to, again, show our belief in this endeavor, and at the same time give your pastor leadership opportunity to use that where they can use that. We feel like, for example, a software package for the finances, we have no idea what that might cost. Okay?
Let me give you these ballots on your way out, so you can vote, okay?
We have no idea what that, but it's a need. We have to have it. Okay, so our thing would be, well, that capacity grant might be able to be used for some of those pieces.
And my second question, after we're paying all of our own bills and everything,
All this is secret stuff.
what is the fee, how much does it cost this church to remain under that Assembly of God village? What do we have to pay to the mothership or whatever to be affiliated with Assembly of God? I know it's not
No.
Is it a monthly fee or is it a percentage of our tithe and giving?
Again, the High Ministry Network functions primarily by way of the tithe of your pastor. Okay, as a credential holder of the Assemblies of God, a percentage of his tithe comes to the High Ministry Network, and that's probably already happening. We, as a fellowship, we recommend that each church supports the network with 1% of their general fund. It's a recommendation, okay? Most of our churches give 1% of their general fund to the network, and that's usually done on a monthly basis. Does that mean And again, this goes back to the question that your husband had earlier. Part of the reason for the network affiliate board of directors in the early stages is we would like to review the budget and make sure that this budget is compensating the pastor at a reasonable fee and making sure that your income can support that. So one of the things we'll be working on, charter of accounts, but also budget, to make sure that those things are kept in balance. And that network affiliate board is a guide to make that happen. So, but it is your tithes and offerings that will make sure that your pastors are compensated. Correct, yeah.
Okay. Unless you're a Catholic church.
Oh, you were saying both is the goal?
No bingo, we're not doing bingo. Yeah, it's tithes and offerings, and assuming that the response of this congregation is going to be to say yes and move forward and continue giving like you are, and tend like you are, he's not going to miss a beat, and just keep right on. Yeah.
Mario.
When you talk about how they work with the transition, and I said this is what you guys have already established, so it's not that part that I'm negotiating with the contract company. You said, cover all expenses, you share half the income. Mark, you said personnel. So is that the personnel staff that?
Your staff. Yes.
I can see where I think it would be.
The full-time and 2 part-time.
Okay, so, and then in April,
April is only rent. So that $1,250 a month, we'll pay that starting, basically take that off the amount due for both months.
No, not Spotify. Get off of Spotify.
so in terms of the portion in terms of that, the $1,250 is, that's what we're paying you. Is there money going on the building? Is there a?
We assume all that, the money we bought from the district and the money that we put into it, we assumed all that, $150,000. So basically what we're asking is for that investment that we made $150,000, not all the staff time and volunteer time, all that sweat equity, just the $150,000.
But that's the.
There is no additional work.
No additional work, yeah. Yes, and in an ideal world, we would say, go ahead and just take out a loan and you can deal with the bank. But being a startup congregation, it'd be hard to have a bank say, we'll trust you with that. So we're just gonna hold it at no interest, just $1,250 a month for 10 years. Minus 2 payments.
And you won't penalize them if you pay that work.
No, we're not.
Stan's probably going for a party.
Actually, this is from 2 of the most loyal, dedicated people to this congregation. No matter where we've been, you guys drive from
Most of the time when they give us office on
West Allen, right? All the way here. That's come in. Okay. Yes.
If he ever has anything really on here, he puts it directly into the You're right.
I think your ministry spends about $3,500 a month. There is a budget, Pastor John has that. Your tithes have been coming in about $2,800 a week. That help?
But can I say something to that, Stan? Now, like, my money goes to you guys. It don't go to this fund. So my money is switch over, which will help out. And so anybody else that does, that went to your church, now we're gonna bring it here, correct? So that's good.
And we ask that you indicate what campus you're at when you give them.
Yeah, we do that now.
And so that already is credited to what we put
Okay.
under, that's the money they bring in, right? So what we'll do is all the money that you're saying, I'm at South for the month of February, because the booking's not set up yet, that's all gonna go into that pile, okay, that's it. Half of that, and it's yours, the other half will pay.
But Stan, is that gonna hurt you guys? What are you gonna do when thousands of dollars come?
We're gonna figure it out.
All right, okay, that's what I'm concerned about, because I care about you guys. You know I do. I've been here for a long time.
Yeah, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Pastor Stan, isn't that part of the reason you want to find out the liability? How many
Yes.
people?
Yeah, part of the vote tonight that we need by Sunday, he needs the paper ballot by Sunday noon, or we need your online vote by Friday, okay? Is to see, okay, is 90% or whatever going? Yes, okay. And you can't be now to look, okay, well, what approximately what's that giving gonna be? Okay, this is viable, it'll be this kind of income, it's a budget, that'll work, all right? So that's why we must hear from you with your vote. You've been patient, I think you raised your hand a couple times.
The 18 months for the furniture and all of these, is it if we have a certain amount of people, if we're bringing it out, what's the criteria?
If you are still whatever, or something like that church, and you're functioning and thriving, it's yours. There's not a target. We just want to make sure that's still a church. As I used to say, the kid meter is expiring. I'll talk over kids all night long. I don't care. I'm fine. Let them cry. Don't let her hear it. Any questions, I'll answer. So
I'm
you're
gonna
gonna
kill
cry
bugs
this
in the morning.
out. Anybody else? I think you're asking anyway, so you might as well go ahead.
No, again, I mentioned earlier that when I came to this position, we had 100 network churches. We have almost 300 churches throughout the state. Of those, only 30 are network churches now. 207 here in General Council churches. So I said that, just our goal is that Pastor John and your staff to move this thing to General Council to graduate as soon as possible. We want to be training wheels as long as we need to be to ensure the viability of this. He will be giving us a monthly report. He will be giving us a monthly report. Yeah, there is. There's a monthly report that he provides for us, so we get a track on how things are going. But that's between him and us. I don't know that it's going to come to the church as a whole. He probably gives you something.
Good question. Great, great questions. Right?
That's what
Just more realistic than average because we have like 1,000 people in our church.
If I answered that question, it would be truly from an opinion guess.
I'm assuming it's just based on,
I would not be able to even give you a guess.
I'm just more trying to get a general idea of what the role of viable is.
I would, my response to that would be that as I stand before you tonight, probably a third of our churches in Ohio are probably less than 50.
Okay, yeah, that's
Okay, and the next third would probably be 50 to 100. Okay, and the next third would be 100 and above.
And we're counting on size, we're counting.
We're talking average attendance. That's total. Total average attendance on Sunday morning.
And also the 100
if it's not.
is including just having all children and adults.
It fluctuates.
No,
Like you said, it seems that every church, you feed them, you get more. So, I don't have food that way. Okay, well, how's that work? Yeah. What, 90 to 130? That's kind of that.
When they say,
Our average is 95. Kim.
I do want to make a comment on that because that's deceiving. This is about the size of church that can pay a full-time pastor. If we're 100 people around that. A lot of the pastors, would you agree, some of them are part-time and they have jobs other than their salary. Am I correct on that? Some of those.
I think, again, what I said earlier about the first 30% or 1,500, the next 30% which is 1,500. I'm not sure which of those made the pastor full-time, part-time, bivocation.
Well,
I don't know the secret. First time you decide to
I
judge.
think it's important to understand, we, the people, understand that everybody's important to this effort.
Exactly.
And if we want to really grow as a church, we need to be committed to the effort of having a full-time pastor.
Of course. Well, that's why we said we want to know 3 commitments. I'm going to give regularly, attend regularly, and serve regularly.
But I wanted to clarify that. I know that you said that, but
And this congregation, as it has been, is enough to sustain Pastor John, our staff, and operations moving forward. And we expect it to grow, so you reach more people, and you have more giving, and it just continues that way.
And that's, I just wanted to clarify that.
Yes, yes.
Because I got the indication that they were trying to size what was what.
Okay. We video today?
Just bring some of them leftover pies for Thanksgiving.
We gave them all away. All right, any other questions, or we'll give you the voting instructions and pass out ballots? So you can vote online, is that what you're telling me, at campusvote.info. Make sure you select this campus. We won't tell Pastor Nehemiah, people can his vote, why he voted to come here. Is something going on we don't know about, or what? So, let's pass out paper ballots. If you want to vote on these, you can hand them in tonight, or else bring them by Sunday to Pastor John. He's got to have those by noon Sunday, or vote online between now and Friday. All right, and let us know that. Okay. So it is very important. And then we will send an email out tomorrow to everyone affiliated with this campus, all right, that's not here tonight, and you'll get it as well. And it's going to have a video of this meeting. All right, so everybody turn around and wave back there at the booth. Just tell them hi, wave, all right? Tell them vote, all right? Everybody vote. There'll be a video of this meeting and instructions on how to vote. All right?